Good morning. We're here from COP22 in Marrakesh and we're representing Carbon Market Watch. We're a Brussels-based NGO working on lobbying and advocacy work for international carbon markets and also in the EU. Just to give you a bit of a history of the organisation, we began in 2009 as CDM Watch, and that was looking at projects based in the Clean Development Mechanism, a market mechanism developed under the Kyoto Protocol that was meant to foster emission reductions as carbon credit offsets and also to foster sustainable development. We saw a gap there, a niche where certain projects were firstly not only harmful to local populations but also weren't developing or building carbon credits that are actually reducing emissions, and we saw there was a need for NGOs to be there on the ground. Since then, in 2012, the scope of our work's really developed and grown, and we changed our name to Carbon Market Watch, which means next year is going to be our 5-year anniversary.
Hi, I'm Pierre-Jean. I'm the network coordinator of the organization. In parallel to the advocacy work that Tom has been commenting on, we have also been developing a network, a loose network of about 800 NGOs worldwide. Basically, we built this network training the capacity of grassroots organizations over the years, doing workshops basically. We wanted to train, to build their capacity so that they know more specifically about the clean development mechanism, so that they could also take action and have their voice heard in those specific projects that Tom has commented that have harmful impacts on the local environment and the local population.
Just to give you a rounded view of the scope of our work now, we're based in Brussels. It's also the heart of the European Union, so we work on European climate policy. In terms of carbon markets, that means the emissions trading system. It was the first of its kind. So that's a big focus of our work. But on the international scene, and what we're really pushing for here at COP22 is international carbon markets, the market mechanisms, everything under the Paris Agreement under Article 6. And that's the move between the Clean Development Mechanism, which will end in 2020, and the new Sustainable Development Mechanism. And also cooperative approaches, which is a little bit more complicated, but looks like it's going to really need our work in the coming years. So, I mean, just in terms of the Clean Development Mechanism, I mean, we've got some particular projects that we'd like to talk about, I think.
Yeah, I think we can reflect on one specific project. There have been many harmful CDM projects, which is a problem because the CDM is supposed to contribute to the sustainable development in developing countries and also to reduce at a cost-effective price emissions. The problem is that like many projects that we have seen have had bad impacts, as I was saying, and we can talk more specifically about the Barro Blanco project in Panama. This is a hydroelectric project, so it's supposed to be renewable energy, but this dam will and is already right now flooding local communities, lands, and several houses as well. So it illustrates how trying to reduce emissions can also have negative consequences. I wanted to talk to you about this project because we have been doing a lot of work over the years supporting the local communities, trying to echo their concerns about this project at the international level. There has been a major breakthrough recently. Last week, actually, Panama, after all our advocacy work, has taken the decision to withdraw the letter of approval so that Barro Blanco can be a CDM registered project. This means that the Barro Blanco project no longer is a clean development mechanism project. This means that it will not have carbon credits, and this is something we should rejoice ourselves for because it is a first step towards a direction we hope where CDM projects and future projects won't have bad consequences for the local people and the environment.
And why we think this sort of work is particularly important, even though the Clean Development Mechanism doesn't have a long lifespan left, is that negotiators here, countries, and the CDM board, and everyone involved in international carbon markets and market mechanisms can draw lessons from the work that we do and also the lessons on the ground from particular projects and take that forward into the negotiations here about how the Paris Agreement is going to look. How's it really going to be enforced? And are we really going to make sustainable development a central pillar to all carbon markets internationally, not only for the people on the ground in terms of projects, but also so we can guarantee the environmental integrity of all the carbon credits that are being traded internationally. So really, that transition from the clean development mechanism to the sustainable development mechanism, we really have to emphasize, has to take on board the lessons that we've learned over the preceding years, not only in our work, but also from our partner organizations at a grassroots level about really how we should inform these projects and how they should be organized and implemented.
So that means basically, concretely, that we need stronger rules to make sure that local harmful impacts cannot happen. This means that we need safeguards, for example, to make sure that the local population can actually voice their concerns before the project is decided and implemented, which is not the case so far. Which means also that we need a grievance mechanism. This is a mechanism that would allow the local stakeholders to voice their concern of the negative impacts that have been perpetuated by some bad projects. We really hope that all the work that we have done and the latest achievement on Barro Blanco can, as Tom was saying, echo to this and will create a momentum for parties to actually implement and push for stronger rules for this future mechanism and for the Paris Agreement, which it's important to recall, and it's major. The Paris Agreement preamble has a specific line on human rights. It says that at all times during climate action, human rights must be respected and promoted. This is what we call for. We call for the implementation and the operationalization of this in all of the climate policies and more specifically in carbon market related policies.
And just as a finishing point, I think anyone who follows the Paris Agreement can see that this is going to institutionalize a lot more carbon markets and market mechanisms. It's a growing tool that's being used for climate action. And in terms of that, we sort of see a lot more avenues to our organization's work and sort of a renewed importance to making sure that the fundamental principles that we've sort of been mentioning here today in this short interview are carried forward into the future to guarantee the environmental integrity of carbon markets internationally.
Yes, because internationally it won't be only about the Paris Agreement. For example, the aviation sector just decided that it will implement a carbon market. We're not sure it's the right choice, but still this is the case, and we want to make sure that this will not have actually counter impacts on the ground, that it won't lead to emission augmentation, increasing, and to harmful impacts on the ground.
And if anyone's interested in more information about our organization, or reading any of our policy briefs on the wide berth of stuff that we work on, you can visit our website at www.carbonmarketwatch.org. Alternatively, we're available on Twitter and Facebook.
And just to finish, if you're a grassroots organization watching this, or just an organization or academic, you can also join our network and be informed on all the work we are doing. And it's also, there is a form to fill in. It's very easy, it's free, and you can join very easily, a click away by filling in this form on our website. Thank you.